First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet, the Ngunnawal people, and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge the many industry representatives who have journeyed here today for an exciting time over Outlook 2012, and also the fellow parliamentarians that have also braved to come to Outlook 2012, and conference delegates who make up so much of the discussion and interest for the conference today, and of course the guests as well. But good morning, and thank you for the fantastic opportunity to be with you today and talk to you about a range of matters that I'll shortly go to. This is my second Outlook conference as Agriculture Minister. It certainly is a marquee event on the annual calendar. The Outlook conference is about our future directions as an industry, but it's an opportunity to consider some of the important issues across sectors and share ideas with experts who are knowledgeable about a range of issues that we will discuss during the Outlook conference, both from nationally, internationally as well. This morning I wanted to take the opportunity of discussing the Gillard government's agenda in agriculture with you. It's an agenda I'm excited about. What it does is talks about the far-reaching and one that I'm working with many of you here today. The staples of that government agenda include, and these are just parts of that staple, protecting our agricultural sector from pests and diseases through a strong biosecurity system, building a clean energy future while providing a carbon farming initiative and a $1.7 billion land sector package, developing Australia's first national food plan that will provide a framework for future government policy right through from the paddock to the plate. In addition, I wanted to share the optimism of the National Farmers Federation President Jock Laurie. Mr Laurie stated this year by saying, and I quote, "There has never been a better time for a farmer." It is within this frame I wanted to take the opportunity to discuss the possibilities for right across 2012 and how we as a government are working to position this sector looking forward, so reaching out into not only the short term, the mid term, but the long term. The steps we will take now can help secure a strong long-term future for the jobs, families and the communities that are so vital for regional remote Australia across that area, who are in truth the lifeblood of our agricultural sector. If I can then just set some scenes. Before I go to that, obviously, I just wanted to mention one thing. While I'm talking about the positive outlook in the farming sector, I just wanted to take a brief moment to mention, of course, that we are experiencing episodic flooding across parts of southern Australia, and of course really take the opportunity of also just sympathising with some of the many people who have lost possessions, and of course there has been a range of challenges in that sector. But across Australia more broadly, if we look across the landscape, ABARES has forecast total summer crop production to rise by 18% in 2011-12 to 5.4 million tonne. In addition, the forecast from ABARES' latest farm survey is for strong farm financial performance in all our major agricultural industries this financial year. For the first time in more than 30 years, the ABARES survey data shows both strong average farm business profits and positive rates of return for broadacre farms in all states and all broadacre industries. It's good news to be a farmer across Australia. Western Australia, for example, is projected to have the largest increase in average farm cash income this year, around 20%, largely because of the positive rebound in winter grain crop production. That also means farm cash incomes in a number of eastern states are projected to be between 20 to 70% higher than the average over the last 10 years. A particular mention should go to sheep farmers, with ABARES projecting their average cash income for 2011-12 to be the highest since 1989, just before the collapse of the old reserve price scheme. And you will hear detailed analysis of the farm survey results, along with forecasts for our main agricultural commodities from ABARES experts presenting throughout this conference. However, it is always clear at the outset that seasonal conditions so far in 2012 should help set our agricultural sector on track for another strong year. But a strong year is one thing. Securing a bright and sustainable long-term future is a separate aim. That's why we're looking for the future ahead, towards the ways we can make our agricultural sector more productive and position it for the future. Our farmers produce, and we know this, high-quality food and fibre, and it remains the most competitive and envied in the world. The Gillard government is continuing to invest in research and development across Australia. The Productivity Commission estimated that the total Australian government funding for rural R&D is around the $700 million each year. And by the end of this financial year, the Labor government's 4 budgets will have contributed over $830 million in matching funding to the rural research and development corporations. The investment, though, if we talk about numbers, belies a lot of the work that the RDCs do. This investment helps drive innovation, increases productivity, and cultivate the farm practices for tomorrow. Productivity growth, the broad acre farm sector, has averaged 1.2% a year since 1977-78, with particular strong growth in the cropping and beef industries. The Gillard government is committed to supporting this growth and cementing Australia's reputation as a highly capable, high-quality producer at both the domestic and the international level. Internationally, Australia's agricultural trade represents real potential growth over the short, medium and longer term. Our trade with Asia, particularly, will be a key focus in coming years, and the government recognises the opportunities that lie ahead as part of the Asian century. A number of the sessions at Outlook reflect the theme in the Australian government's white paper on Australia in the Asian century, particularly the outlook for food production globally and the patterns of trade that are forecast for the future. As well as discussing those themes, here I encourage you to make a submission to the white paper to make your voices heard. Driving our agricultural sector's productivity and growth in an international market is a priority for the Gillard government, a priority that shines through in the significant reforms we are implementing onshore to boost opportunities offshore. And essential to these reforms is the need to protect our world-class biosecurity standing and keep our biosecurity system strong. The government's reforms on the way we manage our biosecurity operations will improve the outcomes for the Australian people, our environment and our agricultural industries. And a key element of this is a risk-return framework, which means identifying and prioritising the greatest biosecurity risks and allocating resources to militate against them. And a strong science-based biosecurity system is vital to protect our agricultural sector from pests and disease. By focusing our resources and inspection efforts where they are needed most, we will reduce risks to Australia's agriculture and the environment. And this has already been put into practice at the Australian border. Biosecurity officers are actively targeting and intercepting high-risk items that pose a significant threat to Australian agricultural interests at airports, mail centres and ports. And by using more focused information, the government is improving the effectiveness and the efficiency of DAF biosecurity and the protection it provides. Internationally, the government is reforming our export certification arrangements to improve our market access and reduce costs to export industries. The Export Certification Reform Implementation Program delivers more efficient export certification and inspection services, and already we've started. Already new arrangements have been introduced in collaboration with exporters for red meat, seafood and dairy. These arrangements will mean more flexible export arrangements, and one of the things I think we all can agree on is how we can reduce and drive down red tape. The reforms, which stand to reduce the costs of government services, delivered by approximately 30 million per annum. It does reflect undertakings to support better IT systems, more efficient certification at the point of export and, of course, less direct government involvement. It's about putting the underpinning building blocks that will support our exporters and not putting a drag in their way. The reform will assist Australian exporters to retain our reputation as clean and wholesome suppliers of food in the global market, place and support expanded market access for Australia's $35 billion agricultural export industry. Turning to one of the areas which is very dear to me, it's about the Carbon Farming Initiative. Why? Because it's about how Australians can project a clean environment way out into the global market. Internationally and domestically, agriculture in Australia is headed towards a period of real opportunity. But this bright outlook stands challenged, of course, by climate change and the future uncertainty it presents to our agricultural production into the future. One of the best ways our nation's farmers and landholders can manage this risk is to take advantage of the Carbon Farming Initiative. The CFI, for those people that want to talk in acronyms, carbon farming provides a game changer for agriculture. By getting involved, the sector can actively help to restore carbon in the landscape, make our agricultural industries more sustainable and protect our natural resources. At the same time, the CFI gives Australian farmers and land managers the chance to earn extra income on farm from those actions that they take to reduce carbon emissions. And the government's move to reduce emissions and encourage carbon abatement and secure a clean energy future will put our farmers on the front foot and help to protect our nation from the impacts of climate change. The CFI, therefore, is a win-win for farmers and the Australian agriculture. Under the CFI, farmers and land managers can generate carbon credits and sell their carbon credits into carbon markets. Farmers and landholders can already use approved methodologies such as capturing and destroying methane generated by piggeries to offset carbon emissions. And the offsets generated from activities outlined in this and other methodologies can be traded for carbon credits, which farmers and landholders can then sell to generate income. The CFI is opening up new revenue streams for farmers and at the same time is helping them to deal with the impacts of climate change and building resilience into the land sector by that win-win. It provides income and also manages some of the risks inherent with climate change. Managing the impacts of climate change is an important step in protecting our agricultural industries, and it's one way this Gillard government is helping to secure our food and fibre production for the longer term.